Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces-Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929.
There's no doubt about it. Ever since Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever exited the WNBA playoffs, the league's viewership has taken a nosedive so dramatic that it could rival a soap opera twist. And we're not talking about a small blip. No, this was a ratings freefall faster than Clark's signature three-pointers dropping through the net.
I believe 2 Sundays ago with Caitlin Clark, she drew 1.8 million viewers on an NFL Sunday. This past NFL Sunday, Asia Wilson drew 900,000.
Let's break down exactly what happened. The Fever's final playoff game, their last hurrah of the 2024 season, raked in an astonishing 2.54 million viewers. That's right, you read that correctly. It wasn't just the most-watched WNBA game of the season. It was the most-watched WNBA game ever on cable.
Want me to just say I told you so, or are you willing to say, Stephen A., you did tell us? Really?
Think about that for a moment. That's more people than the population of some small countries tuning in to see Caitlin Clark and the Fever play their last game. Meanwhile, other WNBA games that followed struggled to pull in anywhere near that kind of audience. Fans seem to decide, if Caitlin's out, we're out too.
Should your scenario take place, Jason, and it steadily declines? I wonder, this actually needs to be studied. What other sports league has diminishing ratings as you get closer to the championship? That would actually embolden the argument that there's a certain guard that now plays in Indiana truly should be the logo of that.
Of course, Stephen A. Smith was quick to weigh in with his hot take, calling Clark the golden goose of the WNBA. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that assessment. When you're pulling in double the viewership of even the WNBA Finals, and I'm talking about the highly anticipated Las Vegas Aces versus New York Liberty matchup, it's clear that Caitlin Clark's impact goes beyond the stat sheet. The Finals barely managed to attract 929,000 viewers, not even half of what Caitlin drew in a game where her team lost.
Who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the big.
Let that sink in for a minute. Smith didn't just stop at calling her the golden goose. He went on to say that Caitlin had single-handedly carried the WNBA on her back this season, adding, "She validated every bit of attention she's gotten this year." And coming from Stephen A., a man who doesn't dish out compliments lightly, this was no small praise. His words came wrapped in the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for a Super Bowl-winning touchdown. The numbers don't lie, but boy, do they sting. When Clark was on the floor, it wasn't just a basketball game, it was an event, a spectacle. The WNBA saw 22 regular season games pull in over 1 million viewers, an impressive feat for any sport, but especially for women's basketball, where viewership numbers have historically lagged behind. And of those 22 games, Clark was part of 21. Coincidence? Hardly. Yet despite these staggering numbers, there are still some out there who doubt whether Caitlin Clark is really that big of a deal. But one glance at the ratings would be enough to convince even the most skeptical critic. Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's rewriting the league's viewership record books, drawing millions of eyeballs to screens every time she steps on the court. Even after her team's postseason exit, she continued to set new benchmarks. The Fever's Game 1 drew 1.84 million viewers, and by Game 2, the audience had swelled to 2.54 million. And that was during a game in which she was eliminated from the playoffs. If this is how she exits the stage, imagine what she'll do when she stays in the fight for an entire playoff run. As for her rookie year, it's the kind of season where you need to double-check the stats because they almost sound too good to be true. Clark didn't just lead the league in assists, she obliterated the WNBA's single-season assist record, dishing out 337 assists. She also drained 122 three-pointers, placing her just behind the legendary Sabrina Ionescu. And she managed all of this while leading the league in virtually every statistical category that matters: points, assists, steals, three-pointers, you name it. At just 22 years old, Caitlin Clark is already a walking, talking highlight reel. She's shattered more records in one season than many players do in an entire career. Most assists by a rookie? Check. Most three-pointers by a rookie? Check. First rookie to record 2 triple-doubles in a season? Check and check. And if this is just her warm-up, then buckle up, because the ride ahead is going to be wild. So what does all of this mean for the WNBA? In the immediate aftermath of her playoff exit, the future might look a little bleak. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, some fans are finding it hard to stay engaged. But her explosive entrance into the league proves that the WNBA has more potential for growth than ever before. Even in a post-Clark lull, the foundation she's laid offers a glimmer of hope for what's to come. Stephen A. Smith wasn't wrong when he expressed concern that people might still be underestimating her impact. The numbers, the records, the millions of viewers. She's a game changer in every sense of the word. With the Fever's playoff dreams dashed and Caitlin temporarily out of the spotlight, there's no denying that the WNBA will miss its golden goose. But fear not, this is just the beginning. When Caitlin Clark returns to the court next season, expect the WNBA to soar back into the ratings stratosphere. Because let's face it, you can't keep a superstar down for long. Even though Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were swept by the Connecticut Sun in the first round of the playoffs, her influence continues to reverberate through the WNBA. The Fever's elimination might have ended their playoff hopes, but the legacy of the viewership records they set during those games lives on. After Game 2 of the Fever-Sun series, which drew a record-breaking 2.54 million viewers, the WNBA saw a significant drop in ratings as it entered the semifinals. The much-anticipated Game 1 of the Liberty Aces series, a rematch of the 2023 WNBA Finals, pulled in 929,000 viewers on September 29th. While that might seem modest compared to the Fever-Sun numbers, it was actually the most-watched WNBA semifinal in 22 years. Still, the stark contrast in viewership between the two series was glaring. Clark's impact was evident even in her first WNBA playoff game, which drew 1.84 million viewers, despite competing with the NFL's Sunday lineup. By Game 2, viewership had peaked at an incredible 3.4 million. The Fever might have been eliminated, but Clark had already made her mark on the league in a way no one could have predicted. In addition to shattering viewership records, the WNBA as a whole enjoyed its most-watched regular season in 24 years, along with the highest attendance figures in over 2 decades. A 2024 draft class featuring not only Caitlin Clark, but also stars like Cameron Brink of the Sparks, Angel Reese of the Sky, and Camila Cardoso contributed to this resurgence. Reese and Clark's storied rivalry from their college days added even more fuel to the fire, bringing in fans eager to see their duels on the professional stage. Much of the renewed interest in the WNBA can be traced back to the fierce rivalry between Clark and Reese. Reese, who led LSU to its first-ever championship by defeating Clark in Iowa in 2023, added a layer of drama with her now famous "You can't see me" gesture at the end of the game. That moment, broadcast across the sports world, fueled a rivalry that has carried over into the WNBA. When Iowa and LSU faced off again in the Elite Eight of this year's NCAA tournament, fans were on the edge of their seats, eager to see what would happen next. Iowa took home the win, setting the stage for even more excitement as both players transitioned to the WNBA. With their arrival, the league saw an unprecedented surge in attendance and viewership. Teams began moving games to larger NBA arenas to accommodate the growing number of fans. The Fever's regular season game against the Washington Mystics on September 19th, held at Capital One Arena, set a WNBA single-game attendance record of 20,701 fans. This was just one of 3 games to draw over 20,000 attendees this season, with others including a July 6th matchup between the Fever and Aces, which brought in 20,366 fans, and a June 7th game between Indiana and Washington, which attracted 20,333. The Fever's playoff berth might have been cut short, but Caitlin Clark's rookie season will go down in history as one of the most remarkable ever seen in the WNBA. After the Fever rebounded from a dismal 1-8 start to clinch a playoff spot, their first since 2016, Clark continued her ascent into the record books. The WNBA, now in its 27th season, has always struggled to capture the kind of mainstream attention that men's sports leagues like the NBA, NFL, and MLB enjoy. While the league has steadily grown its fan base since its inception in 1997, it has yet to experience the kind of massive viewership spikes that make it a dominant force in American sports culture. Caitlin Clark, however, represents a unique turning point in this regard. Before Clark, the WNBA's star power was distributed across multiple players, some dominant in their own right, like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, and more recently, Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson. But no player has managed to capture the imagination of casual fans and non-WNBA watchers the way Clark has. Born in Des Moines, Iowa, Clark's ascent in the world of basketball started long before she ever set foot on a WNBA court. As a high school player, Clark was already making waves with her ability to sink three-pointers from seemingly impossible distances, dish out no-look assists, and demonstrate a basketball IQ well beyond her years. By the time she committed to play for the Iowa Hawkeyes, she was already one of the most talked-about prospects in women's basketball. Clark's college career at Iowa was nothing short of legendary. By the time she declared for the WNBA draft, she had amassed countless records, including leading the NCAA in scoring for 2 consecutive seasons. Her jaw-dropping performances in the 2023 NCAA tournament, particularly her 41-point game against South Carolina in the Final Four, catapulted her into the national spotlight. Clark's combination of deep shooting range, creative passing, and competitive fire made her a viral sensation, drawing comparisons to NBA stars like Stephen Curry. At Iowa, Clark wasn't just a scorer. She was the complete package. Her ability to involve her teammates, her flair for the dramatic, and her leadership on and off the court transformed the Hawkeyes into a national powerhouse. While many players shine in college only to fade into obscurity in the professional ranks, Clark seemed destined for greatness at the next level. When she declared for the WNBA draft, the excitement surrounding her potential was palpable. Many analysts saw her as a once-in-a-generation talent, the kind of player who could reshape the trajectory of the entire league. When the Indiana Fever selected Clark as the #1 overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, expectations were sky-high. The Fever, a franchise that had struggled in recent years, was looking to Clark to be its savior. And from the moment she stepped on the court, Clark delivered. Her rookie season was nothing short of historic. Clark broke multiple WNBA records, including the most assists by a rookie, 337, the most three-pointers made in a season, 122, and the highest points per game average by a rookie. Her dazzling performances, combined with her ability to hit deep three-pointers, made her a fan favorite almost instantly. More than just her individual stats, however, was the way Clark transformed the Indiana Fever. A team that had languished near the bottom of the standings for several seasons suddenly found itself in playoff contention, with Clark leading the charge. Her presence on the court opened up opportunities for her teammates, and her competitive drive was infectious. As a result, the Fever became must-watch television. Games featuring Clark regularly drew over 1 million viewers, far surpassing the WNBA's usual viewership numbers. In many ways, Clark had transcended the league itself. She was no longer just a basketball player, but a cultural phenomenon. Clark's ability to draw viewers is not an isolated phenomenon. The WNBA has long relied on star power to generate interest in the league. In the early years, it was players like Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, and Rebecca Lobo who drew fans to the games. In the 2000s, the torch was passed to players like Sue Bird, Tamika Catchings, and Diana Taurasi. However, the WNBA has historically struggled to retain a large, consistent viewership base. many sports fans in the United States are still more inclined to follow men's sports leagues, leaving the WNBA fighting for a smaller piece of the pie. This is where players like Clark become essential. Unlike some other leagues, where team loyalty often trumps individual star power, the WNBA's growth has been heavily tied to the popularity of its marquee players. This is both a strength and a challenge. On one hand, stars like Clark can draw in new fans who may not have been interested in the WNBA before. On the other hand, the league's reliance on a few key players to drive viewership can be precarious. Injuries, retirements, or even a star player having an off night can lead to significant drops in interest. One of the most significant factors in Clark's rise to stardom has been the WNBA's ability to market her effectively. The league, to its credit, recognized early on that Clark had the potential to be a transformative figure, and it leaned into that narrative heavily. Clark's face was everywhere, from billboards to social media ads, as the league pushed her as the next big thing in women's basketball. Clark's personality has also made her a marketing dream. She's confident, charismatic, and unafraid to speak her mind. Whether she's celebrating a big shot or clapping back at critics, Clark has a flair for the dramatic that makes her compelling to watch both on and off the court. Her trash-talking battles with opposing players have gone viral, and her iconic "you can't see me" gesture after hitting a deep three became a cultural moment. This kind of star power doesn't just sell tickets, it sells merchandise, creates social media engagement, and gets people talking about the WNBA in ways they haven't before. In an era where sports consumption is increasingly driven by digital and social media, Clark's ability to generate buzz online has been a game changer for the league. It's not just television ratings that have seen a boost from Clark's presence. The WNBA's digital footprint has also expanded significantly. Clark's highlights, whether it's a deep three-pointer or a no-look pass, regularly go viral on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans create compilations of her best plays, and even non-WNBA fans find themselves watching her jaw-dropping performances on YouTube. This digital presence is crucial for the WNBA's growth, as it helps the league reach younger audiences who may not be watching traditional television. By engaging with fans on social media and creating shareable content, the WNBA is positioning itself as a league that is in touch with the modern sports fan. Clark, who has a large following on social media herself, has been able to connect with fans in ways that weren't possible in previous eras. She regularly posts behind-the-scenes content, interacts with fans, and shares her thoughts on the game. This level of accessibility has endeared her to a broad audience and made her one of the most marketable athletes in the world. While Caitlin Clark's impact on WNBA viewership has been overwhelmingly positive, her early exit from the playoffs raised some alarm bells for the league. As previously mentioned, the viewership numbers for the WNBA semifinals dropped significantly after Clark's Fever were eliminated. Game 1 of the Liberty Aces semifinal series drew just 929,000 viewers, less than half of the 2.54 million who tuned in to watch Clark's final game. This stark drop in viewership highlights a potential vulnerability for the WNBA. If the league becomes too reliant on a single player to drive ratings, it risks alienating fans when that player is not involved in the action. The WNBA has to find ways to sustain interest in the league as a whole, rather than just relying on individual stars to carry the load. This challenge is not unique to the WNBA. The NBA, for example, has seen similar patterns of viewership fluctuations based on the presence or absence of key players like LeBron James or Stephen Curry. However, the NBA has a larger fan base and more established narratives, making it less reliant on individual stars to drive overall interest. For the WNBA, this presents an opportunity. The league can use Clark's popularity as a springboard to build broader engagement with the sport, introducing fans to other players, teams, and storylines. This will be crucial if the league wants to continue its growth trajectory in the years to come. While star power is essential in attracting fans, the WNBA also needs to focus on building compelling narratives that go beyond individual players. Rivalries, team dynasties, and dramatic storylines can all help to draw in viewers who may not have a particular attachment to any one player. A well-rounded approach to storytelling in the league, one that goes beyond the highlights of a single player, will create a more sustainable fan base that is invested in the league as a whole. In this regard, the WNBA is already making significant strides. The rivalry between the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty, for example, has generated considerable buzz in recent seasons. Both teams are loaded with talent, and their matchups have become must-watch events for basketball fans. The Aces, with a core group led by Aja Wilson, have developed into a dominant force in the league, while the Liberty, featuring Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, have built their own strong roster to challenge them. Their head-to-head clashes have the feel of an epic battle for supremacy in the WNBA, providing excitement not just for the fans of these specific teams, but for neutral basketball enthusiasts as well. These kinds of rivalries help to create a sense of continuity and anticipation, keeping fans engaged even when their favorite players are not involved. The notion of team rivalries and emerging dynasties is crucial for building long-term interest. When fans are invested in the success of teams and storylines that extend beyond individual stars, it encourages greater engagement. As players come and go, the rivalries and team identities remain, giving fans a reason to keep coming back year after year. Beyond rivalries, the WNBA can also look to create more memorable moments that will resonate in the broader sports world. This can be achieved through dramatic playoff runs, Cinderella stories, and underdog victories. Teams like the Chicago Sky, who won the 2021 WNBA championship despite not being the top seed, capture the imagination of sports fans with their improbable journeys. Such storylines appeal to a wider audience, drawing in casual fans who may not follow the WNBA regularly, but are intrigued by the emotional highs and lows that define great sports moments. Additionally, the WNBA can continue to build on its commitment to social justice issues, which has resonated with a broad audience, especially younger fans. Many WNBA players have been at the forefront of movements like Black Lives Matter and have used their platforms to advocate for change on issues like racial inequality, gender equity, LGBTQ+ rights, and voting rights. This activism aligns with a growing portion of the sports audience that values athletes who stand for more than just their on-court performances. By positioning itself as a league that cares deeply about social issues and uses its platform to advocate for societal improvement, the WNBA can attract fans who share those values and are looking for a sports league that reflects their own beliefs and ideals. The WNBA's stance on social issues also distinguishes it from other professional leagues. In a world where athletes are often scrutinized for their public stances, WNBA players have been unapologetically vocal, earning the respect of fans, media, and fellow athletes alike. This activist identity can be a key differentiator for the WNBA, as it seeks to carve out a larger space in the competitive sports landscape. The connection between sports and societal change has deep roots, and the WNBA's position as a league where advocacy is celebrated offers it a unique appeal that transcends basketball. Looking ahead, as the league embraces both on-court and off-court storylines, it is essential that the WNBA capitalizes on the rise of a new generation of stars, such as Caitlin Clark, who bring with them enormous potential for attracting new viewers. Caitlin Clark's impact on the game of basketball, particularly in her rookie season, has already elevated her to one of the most talked-about players in the league. Her dynamic scoring ability, incredible basketball IQ, and competitive spirit make her a perfect candidate to become the next face of the WNBA, joining other young superstars like Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu in leading the league into the future. Clark's popularity extends beyond her athletic prowess. She represents a new wave of WNBA talent that is poised to capture the attention of fans around the world. Her marketability, combined with her game-changing abilities, makes her a key figure for the WNBA as it looks to expand its reach. If she continues to develop her game and lead her team to greater heights, Caitlin Clark has the potential to become not just the face of the WNBA, but one of the most recognizable athletes in the world, someone whose appeal crosses over into mainstream pop culture. However, the WNBA's future success will depend on more than just one player, no matter how talented or popular she may be. The league will need to continue nurturing young talent, ensuring that there is always a new generation of stars ready to take the mantle. This requires a commitment to developing players at every level, from grassroots programs to the college game, and providing them with the resources they need to succeed at the professional level. At the same time, the WNBA must continue to build compelling narratives around teams, rivalries, and the league as a whole. Engaging fans in the broader storylines of the league will be key to maintaining their interest over the long term. Furthermore, the WNBA's commitment to social justice and advocacy will continue to be a core part of its identity, helping to attract a fan base that is looking for a league that stands for more than just sports. If the WNBA can successfully navigate these challenges, it has the potential to become a major force in the world of sports, with players like Caitlin Clark leading the way. The league has already made tremendous progress in recent years, and as it continues to evolve, it is poised to reach new heights in terms of popularity, cultural impact, and global recognition. In the meantime, basketball fans should enjoy the ride. The Caitlin Clark era is just beginning, and it promises to be one of the most exciting periods in WNBA history. The league is brimming with talent, compelling storylines, and a growing sense of momentum that suggests the best is yet to come.